a lot of time on the phone.
Commercial. Everyone have their mics on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sounded like a dad. Everyone have their mics on. Fingers and toes.
Yes,
Fingers and
sir.
toes.
Don't erase it again.
Wrong about
Support
Coke.
for Wrong About Everything comes from Minnesota's credit unions. Credit unions are locally based, member-owned financial cooperatives that return earnings to members through higher savings rates, lower loan rates, and reduced fees. Visit mncun.org for more information. And we are back with another episode of Wrong About Everything. I am former Republican Senate Majority Leader Amy Koch.
And I am Bonnie Prince Brian, just back from the Scottish Highlands, and I am so happy to be back.
I am a Democratic strategist and just got back from the White House. Javi Morillo.
And I'm small business attorney Davis Sensman.
And we are
Wrong About Everything.
Everybody's back in studio. You know what I miss?
What?
The Sen Ben residency.
Yeah, it was. We had a residency.
was
It was lovely.
It was a residency. It was a
Got a lot
several-week
of
run.
positive feedback about that one.
Yeah.
I miss it too. Yeah,
You hush up.
She was quite funny
Yep.
while you were gone.
great.
Yep.
And totally, like, remember how I said next time she's on, I'm not going to let her get away with talking about marijuana without saying, you freaking legalize it? She was totally chill about
Yeah.
it. She was
Yeah,
very
she was
funny.
like, yeah, I did that. Oops.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah. We even figured out how she was going to be able to get into pride parties, but Amy would not.
me.
Because they were going to be like, you, gummy legalizer, this way.
Gummy legalizer. Marriage banner, no.
No, still not
Get
you.
out there.
Still not you. It's not been long enough. Too soon.
Maybe
Too
she could be
soon.
on next week, and we'll just see if it was a fluke.
Yeah.
No, she was on a couple times. It was a
Yeah.
Oh no, I know. We'll just one more,
took a spin.
One more.
She's been
more
around
time.
the Credit Union Network studio.
couple more times. Yeah. All right.
All right. Okay. All right. But Brian, you had a great trip.
Oh my God, it was so great.
Where were you?
We started off in London and spent a number of days there, and it was great. And then we toured all of Scotland. We were on the North Sea and the Sea of Hebrides and
Is that where your people are from?
some of them,
Yeah.
a fair amount of them. Yeah, but no, it was.
Did you visit ancestral lands?
Oh, McDaniels.
I did not. We know what it is.
Like groundskeeper Willie.
We-
It's my retirement grease.
My retirement grease. You used me, Skinner. Around the Ragged Rock, the Ragged Rascal ran. No, we know that our people kind of started off in Scotland, and then part of the Scots-Irish, they went to Ireland. So we know where they are in Northern Ireland. Actually, yeah, we're orange. We're not Catholic.
Boo.
Whatever.
Boo.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we talked directly to God. Go ahead. Keep talking to your guy in the funny hat. I'm sure it works out great. But no, we.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about
It's the
Protestants versus Catholics.
Misinformation about Catholics.
I'll tell you what my mother
I
told
talk to
me.
God all the time.
What my mother told me about, like, a teacher asked us to ask our parents what's the difference between Catholicism and Protestantism. She said, Catholicism is the religion that Jesus brought to the world,
It's true.
and the rest of you should repent.
Eventually.
Thank you, Mama.
We're all just Jewish reformed.
All right.
Had a great time.
All right. Well, we actually did miss you.
don't
So a couple of things. We got Gabe
I
Noah.
don't care.
Okay. Never mind that. I was just being nice.
I don't
Gabe Noah
don't
in
care.
the producer's booth. You can catch Gabe Noah's Profession Confession. And do you have any? I don't know if Gabe's got any stand-up dates, but we should always get those on here too, because he's a real comedian.
Yeah.
With actual dates. And then, or you can find us Wrong About Everything podcast.com, our website from Honey Hive Digital. And we, at this point, we need to do a little congrats on a new baby. Dustin Greggy is the CEO and chief bottle washer over at Honey Hive Digital. And he's washing a lot more bottles because he and his wife Kayla had a little baby boy, Caspian, or Casper, they're calling him. So congrats and welcome, Casper. You also might catch some of our billboards. They're out there. We haven't seen them, but we get pictures of them
The kid's name is Caspian or Casper?
I think it's Caspian, but they're going to call him Casper.
Casper.
So I'm assuming that it must be like a family, like the Caspian's the family name that they're going to call him.
I know the Greggy
Those
families,
are two
and I also
different
know the
names, not a
Lockmeyer
nickname.
families.
That's not a nickname of one. Those are two different names.
Well, that's not.
I'm not judging.
Some-
I'm just
sounded
confused.
pretty judgy.
You sound-
But so Blue Ox Media, we just want to give a shout out to them and thank them for our billboards. And so, but our yes,
I think we didn't quite give the
Credit Union Network Studio.
Network Studio. You
Oh
mentioned
yes, I'm
it.
sorry. Yes, no, because in the Senban and Credit Union Network studio in the same breath. But yes, we are of course here in the beautiful Minnesota Credit Union Network studio. We're so grateful to Credit Union.
Our longest sponsor.
Yep. We had you had some credit union. I don't want to say
I w-
banking. You had credit unioning to do this
I was
week, and they
dealing
were
with them.
amazing, weren't
Yeah,
they?
I have a business account, and something got a little wonky with it, so I was actually able to go in and talk to people multiple times, and it's everything you think it is. They learn your name. There I am.
Was your identity stolen?
Hey, Brian, he's not even worried. There were some credit union issues, but they resolved.
He's so calm.
immediately,
He's so
wow.
calm in that little.
Okay.
Well, that
for
picture- that
for
pic-
our listeners, there's an image of Brian that for some reason our producer keeps putting on the video screen here.
Oh,
Him-
good. But that's in
That's showing a lot of
that's in
leg.
Davis's homeland. That picture is taken in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was.
Andy
That's how you
Warhol.
feel when you're in Pittsburgh. Just laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what everyone says.
Yeah, good. All right. Also, we want to thank our sponsor, Bradshaw and Bryant, because the entire team of attorneys and staff are dedicated to providing the legal advice you need, combined with the service and personal attention that you deserve. If you have questions about how they can assist you with a personal injury, wrongful death, or criminal defense matter, Brian,
DWI.
do not hesitate to contact them. Consultations are free.
I'm just saying.
And
I'm
you would call
suggesting.
them, stepping
Yeah.
on my commercial.
No, I'm adding to the
Bryant,
commercial
I'm so
that there's someone who could use these resources that we're going to be talking about. So call Bradshaw and Bryant.
We got a referral.
Contact them at 800-770-7008 or go to minnesotapersonalinjury.com. It's that easy, and they'll take
That's
care of
right.
you.
They will take care of you.
Outstanding. Okay, we got a lot of news again. For a summer and a non-election year summer, it's been a little busy.
A lot going
Well, you were
on.
gone, Brian. I know you weren't paying any attention. But there was a lot of news. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. And this week, no exception.
Correct.
First of all, Threads came out. I guess I thought I was going to maybe put in the banter. Has everybody joined Threads? It's
I have.
I joined
Zuckerberg's-
it. I don't check it. I want fewer things. I don't want more
Well, just quit
things.
Twitter. That's what I
Quit
did.
all of it.
But you can't, because now I'm reading that Threads is not going to have news or politics because they
Well,
don't.
the news and politics is there.
No,
like
they're not prioritizing it in the algorithm. That's
oh,
what-
they're not like
that's-
putting
that's
it,
what it
pushing
is?
it.
They're
to
not
the top.
pushing
Yeah.
it. That's
but you can
all it
follow
is.
like
Yeah.
news.
Yeah, you could talk about whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was on for 20 seconds, and all it was people saying, "Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to be on Twitter." I'm like, "All right, I don't
And we're
need to
done.
be, I don't need
Yeah.
to be part of it."
It's just Twitter.
100 million followers in less than a week, which definitely has given Elon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first app.
It's the fastest growing app ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
It was now faster than ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, which hit 100 million in in a few months.
2 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if the timing is right, if this actually does, because there's been Donald Trump had Truth Social. There's been what was Mammoth or what is it?
Mastodon.
Mastodon.
I missed
knew it
that
was
one.
some prehistoric. What was that one? Was that a
Mastodon.
left?
That
It's
one's
still
like
there.
no, that one's like
It's an open
something about
source.
it's something about non-federate. I don't understand.
very
Marco
complicated.
Polo.
It's like
remember-
international
Remember
waters.
when we,
Yeah.
we tried to make
You can
Marco
kill
Polo
someone
a
there.
thing?
Yeah, we did for 5 seconds.
We did. We actually made it a thing for 5
Well,
seconds.
we have a thread for the podcast, but nothing has been said there yet.
No, I created it.
We're saving.
So we could,
I
don't know.
followed it today,
If people
and I
have
was
ideas
like,
of what
guys,
our
we have to
first
say
thread-
something.
Yeah.
I know, but we wanted
We
our
were waiting for
thread to be special.
we're waiting for something witty to say.
Something that wasn't
gonna
just like
be-
Mark Zuckerberg sucks, but I'm going to come over here anyway.
Yeah.
I- not-
I'd like to say that I don't like Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, and I'm not gonna rah one of them over the
Yeah.
other. Just 'cause-
The billionaires are fighting. I'm going to
yeah.
pick a side. They don't
They
care
literally
about you.
Elon Musk this weekend literally said let's have a literal dick measuring contest.
He did say that.
He said, and most people be like, no one wants
You're
to
a
hear that.
CEO of a company.
Isn't that right?
I don't like either of them. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Zuck is not right. He's awkward and weird, and there's something wrong.
But at least he doesn't say, let's have a dick.
He made Donald Trump president. president, so I guess
Well, that's true.
You guys should like that about Zuckerberg.
That is true.
I think your party had a little something to do with that.
Yeah,
And your
but,
crazy ass voters.
It just
I
he
actually
helped.
think- yeah.
Anyway, all right. So the it's out. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I just love that, like, because Elon's having such a meltdown because it's like, you have to be a hated person when that many people are running to the arms of the other hated person.
Well, the other thing is like, hey, dum-dum. The first rule of like when your company is getting scorched is don't admit your company. Don't be like, I hate this guy.
He has so much money. I don't think he cares.
Yeah, but he put 40 million into this, so or 40 billion. I'm sorry. So here's the other thing that's a problem. So there was a story, and I kind of put this in there because Javier, you posted it. It was about this left-wing Twitter account that may have been fake all along. So she was supposedly a proud liberal left-winger in D.C. Had over 130,000 followers, and she had like kind of a hyper liberal, often melodramatic. And of course, she was also quoted often by the right to say like
because
look at this.
she was clearly clearly like not a real, like, it was a caricature. She was like a caricature of what a right winger thinks a lefty would be like.
Right, and so, but it's been like ongoing for quite a long time, and then they went to look for her, and there's no one on the voting rolls. It doesn't appear.
She's AI generated.
It's just an AI generated bot.
Just fake.
And so this is the problem with all of this, right? This is going to be the problem that Threads could have. This is the problem that Twitter has. Twitter's become just like, it's just a free for all. You don't know what's legit, who's legit, this verification system that, people thought was elitist. It wasn't elitist. It just told me like, this is the actual person.
This is the real so-and-so.
I had to go through something to, not because you're special, but because like, this is a person that might be influential, and this is actually them, not this 17 accounts that fake their name.
Yeah.
And he just, by taking that away and trying to be, I don't know what he was trying to do, make a fast buck or be egalitarian.
$8 at a time.
Right, to be populist.
He just ran up against. This is the thing I think with like when people say like, oh, free speech, like everything should be allowed. I mean, like Twitter is an incredibly unpleasant place to be right now. Like it is literally like look at any
It was never
tweet
particularly lovely.
No, it was.
Let's be honest.
But it was. But there was a time. This is what moderation does, right? Where you like that people weren't allowed to attack viciously, weren't allowed to make threats, weren't allowed like now you post anything, and especially politicians, and read the mentions, and it is vile.
Yeah, no,
it is such a gross place. I mean, you didn't used to you would get flagged for calling someone a name or whatever. Like, and now you can say racist, anti-Semitic stuff. You could say it's just so unpleasant, and so and of course advertisers are like, well, I don't really want my products associated with that cesspool.
Well, remember even when they took away the verification at first, and a bunch of people were impersonating products, which they and companies, and they kind
free
of
insulin for everyone.
But it was just it's just been a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Threads is going to be any better, but it's an interesting. It's the first real app that's given them a run for the money. So we'll see.
People are garbage, and as long as people are garbage, they're going to turn every single one of these things into garbage.
Someone's so
Yeah, you're a little surly. You're not like.
Listen, he was on a long vacation.
That'll bring up the mood.
I was in places with more sheep than people.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
It was fantastic.
That's nice.
That is
Oh,
nice.
are you going to become a farmer?
No,
You're gonna go live
but I'll
in-
buy a house overlooking one of those things.
You're going to become Ted Kaczynski, live in a little.
Let's talk about cocaine. Dun 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 dun.
I get no kick from cocaine.
On the campaign,
Near alcohol.
snorting.
Apparently, someone is brought some nose candy into the White House, and the Secret Service eventually found the stash. That's what happened.
They found
Somebody
it.
had their stash there for their bumps, and
I mean, it's probably a good place, right? Because you're like, nobody's ever going to think that I would bring my cocaine to the White House.
no one
And
would be
here's the
that
thing.
stupid.
I mean, I care who it is to a point and don't care who it is to a point. But if you can get cocaine into the White House, you can get, anthrax. You can get a whole bunch of other stuff. So whoever is in charge of checking on the foreign substances probably needs to tighten their.
Well, you just get like metal detected,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
you
I had
check
no
for
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
What
sure.
I do about
I could not care less
other-
about this story. I mean, it's White House press corps. They're up all night.
That's a good guess.
They're up all night.
That's a good guess.
Well, folks are trying to make it about Hunter, which is listen. That guy has some drug problems.
That guy has some drug problems, but he's not hanging out in the hallways of the White House. They don't like literally that. I am certain that there are White House staffers charged with, if you see Hunter Biden, send a freaking alarm out. Turn around.
Right.
Mr. President, your son's in the vicinity.
I think it's interesting though, because they originally found it somewhere more quiet, but then they said no, it was actually in this hallway that was very well traveled, and they keep saying very well traveled, which is them diminishing the expectations that we're going to figure out who it is. But they certainly have cameras everywhere. This is the friggin' West Wing. This wasn't even the touristy White House area. This is the West Wing, which
we can't even find out who leaked the Roe v. Wade
to the West Wing. It's the library or the entrance to the West Wing. It is not an area where even have you ever been there?
No, they said that it's an area that people go in and out of, that the public goes in and out of for tours.
No, they said they can be visitors. They did not say public tours. They did not say public tours. They said visitors to the West Wing.
They're never going to figure out who had this.
But
I think, and that's
there
them
are
moderating
hundreds and hundreds of visitors to the West Wing every day.
Right.
All
Well,
the time.
they should be a little more careful. And also, I don't know. It's just I don't care who. I don't think we're going to find out who it is. I don't think it's Hunter Biden. He's got his coke many other places. He doesn't have to have a stash in the West Wing.
And he knows where it is at all times.
At all times. But it is.
He's in recovery.
Is just disrespect. It's just gross and disrespectful. And I don't know. You're working. In the
I
West
think the
Wing,
White House press
West
corps
Wing.
is a good guess. I think that's a good guess.
It is 100%.
Because all those little like interns and stuff, they're also anal retentive, and so like I got this job and I gotta keep this job.
Have you ever?
Right.
Have
Well,
you
you
ever
gotta
been?
wear your suit. You gotta wear your tie. You gotta and you should. It's the most powerful. This is one thing I went with. I was in D.C. last week at the White House, and I went with a group of gentlemen from India, and they only wanted to see the White House, and they were so in awe. They're just like, this is the most powerful seat and house in the world. It's so, and they're like, there it is, and they're just in awe. And I just think
That's why again,
have some respect.
that's why I think it's the press corps. Who's more cynical than the?
That's a good guess.
My guess, it's one of the websites. It's like One America or
Online.
it's
One of those,
Yeah, it's just
Politico.com.
No, Politico is a real thing.
They do also have a paper, don't they? They have hard copy.
Yes, but no, it's I just can't bring myself to care.
Well, it's all over, and there's going to be House hearings, secret House
thank
hearings
goodness.
tomorrow, or confidential.
Confidential. Why?
I don't know. It must have something to do with Secret Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Because
I'm sure they don't want even their agents. They don't
Yeah.
want testifying in public and all that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
There's some White House reporter who is shitting their pants right
I
now.
would imagine. What were you thinking?
I just
Does cocaine bind you up though?
It depends, I think. I don't know.
Depends.
I was just seeing who would answer it.
No, I think actually maybe it gives you. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not the drug of choice. I'm waiting for marijuana to be legal to try it.
yes, I know you're very excited. He's like, I don't know, I'm nervous, but it's
And then you
probably,
could-
I hear good things.
Then you can have it right in the Capitol in Minnesota.
Yes.
Reporters, get your cubbies ready.
Get your guppies. You don't have to stop. You can stop tucking your stash away in the hallways. All right. Also in the news, another grand jury being formed up for former President Donald Trump. This one and this one is odd because this one is okay. So this case to me is about the Georgia election probe. But it's not just about the Georgia election probe. This apparently has, and I don't know why it's getting very apparently there's multiple grand juries being brought together in Georgia, and that the prosecutor there is trying to draw in other states. And from a I don't understand that. I think it would be much better to keep this very simple because I was reading the articles and trying to figure out what exactly all of this is. And frankly, even the press said it's a little unclear which charges are going to be with which grand jury. And the one that's probably the most famous is the January 2021 phone call to then and now Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. And in the call, Trump was said that he wanted to find enough votes to overturn the election loss in Georgia.
Give an exact number.
And Brad
Yeah, and I think
Raffensperger
there
was
was
like,
11,000.
record.
He lost by fewer than 12,000, and of course the Secretary of State told him no, and he took a lot of heat for that, and ultimately won re-election, soared to re-election easily in Georgia. But that seems to be the most clear. But these indictments and the grand juries are going to cover a whole host of things, and I just think that. I don't understand that. Does anybody understand or has followed exactly all the things that the person in Georgia, the District Attorney Fannie T. Willis?
Well, they also had those fake electors, and they gave them immunity because they were apparently arguably committing crimes as well. But they
Right.
said, but I think it was because it was part of a 7-state scheme, and so they were looking at like, how do they tie? I don't really know.
She's also gone into other states, right? I just think that gets a lot of convoluted, and if she needs it to make her case, that's one thing. But if she's just trying to do like a big web, I just think that's a mistake. I think you should, stay focused on what happened in Georgia. But I guess we'll see. It's just, and once again, we've talked about this. Is this would be the third indictment in as many states?
Third indictment, and he's asked to. He officially asked Judge Eileen Cannon to postpone that trial
just indefinitely.
till after I get reelected and can get rid of
Eileen,
the
what
Justice
if we
Department.
just push this out a little bit?
Yeah.
And there's some kind of special grand jury that's investigating the case, and they've heard from 75 witnesses in the last several months.
That's a lot of witnesses.
It is a lot of witnesses, and that the report remains sealed to protect the rights of potential future defendants. So maybe some of them didn't cut a deal,
oh.
right? But I don't believe that Donald Trump or anyone, kind of at the top of the list had testified in front of this special grand jury. Anyway, well, that'll keep going, and we'll see how that story continues.
You guys heard of this thing they got over in the UK called Love Island? It's wild, man.
No, it is not.
We have it here too, don't we?
Yeah, that's the thing here.
You know what they do have there? They have Law and Order UK.
Ooh.
And it is significantly different. Because,
I bet it is.
Because their legal system's different.
It's not better.
I think Brian came back all relaxed and like regular, and he's like, "Can we make this podcast about TV?"
Yeah.
Because this all this politics stuff is binding me up.
Yeah. Additionally, and we were out last week for the holiday, as were most people. But a lot of decisions came down from the Supreme Court. A lot of big ones, including affirmative action for college entrants. Also, the Biden and Trump loan forgiveness program. So this was started during COVID. At least some of it, where Donald Trump had delayed student loan payments, and they were set aside for the duration of the pandemic, and interest was not being charged while this was worked through. And then Biden came in and did some things around student loans and like sort of counting right. So there's people that are allowed if they've worked for a nonprofit or for a
Public
government
service
entity,
loan
public service.
forgiveness.
This has stood up through several presidencies. I don't even know where it started, but it was Obama. It was definitely Trump, and they would get their student loan after 10 years forgiven if they've been paying along. But the counting on that was always kind of messed up, like what qualified and when it qualified. It was very unclear and very, very opaque. Now that has not ended, and in fact, the pause is still going on, but now will end very soon. I think the biggest thing that came out of this is that there was $10,000 that were going to go to a certain, if you were at a certain income level with a certain with loans, and that will not. The Supreme Court said,
and then
you
another
cannot spend that
10,000
money.
if you had Pell
Pell
Grants.
Grants. Yeah. So I think
Me
everything
too.
else obviously was is going forward.
I mean,
but the 10,000 and the 20,000 are what was struck down. By
And to be clear, like I added I put that qualifier there on Trump's loan forgiveness program. The Supreme Court did not address Trump's actions.
Right.
They only addressed the Biden administration's and act like it was only the Biden administration who did this. And I don't think there's like this is to my mind another clear example that if this had been a Republican administration, this would have been a different decision. This was just like it was a part.
But Trump didn't do the 10 and the 20,000. That was the Biden piece, and it was spending that money. That was the question.
But it was a question of interpretation.
It was an administrative law question.
It was a question of law, and the law very clearly says that the president has the power to adjust or waive and they made the word wave mean something different than it clearly means in the dictionary, and they just didn't like it, and so on all three cases, obviously, as a progressive, pissed about all of them, but the case that will now allow discrimination against gay folks, that case didn't even have standing. There was no there was
that person
literally
was
false
not even
information.
real.
The affirmative action group that sued is a fake group. It's an AstroTurf group that has no proof of membership of anything. That also put forward and that case that decision is so bizarre because they're actually, the end result is going to be actually encouraging more discussion of race they specifically said well, you can mention race in college essays, so you're just gonna it's similar to what they did with abortion to pretend that they're well, this will be the end of the conversation, when actually they're just going to create many more cases for themselves. That issue is just particularly annoying, and the way that they specifically excluded the military academies from the decision, because the military academies say that they need to have a diverse military corps, officer corps, because they have a very diverse enlisted corps, which is the exact same reason that colleges and universities give for why they want a diverse student body, because we have a diverse workplace. And so why would the rules that apply to the military not apply to CEOs, to college, to in the private sector? This is just another people mad that people of color are allowed to progress in any way. So let's go back to the good old days.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out politically. I think student loans, that's
a big
for
one.
Millennials
For
and Gen
younger,
Zs,
yeah.
it's a big deal.
It was buying votes. It was shameless and it was brilliant. So, and now they don't have to worry about spending the money, and they'll still be able to accuse the Republicans as being against it, and it's going to be effective. It's going to work.
Here's my take on the loan forgiveness, because I have a little bit of a different take. I think that student loans have ballooned out of control. I think I blame both the lenders. I blame the universities. I also blame students, right? There should be, but there is also real need for financial literacy. There's a whole bunch of problems there, right? The tuition's gone up exponentially. These lenders they get a free pass. It's not dischargeable under bankruptcy. They get a sweetheart deal on the insurance rate. So the idea that these are marketplace loans, is false.
Well, because you would never.
I paid out, and it's not the same student loans, by the way, that you and I had, Brian. It's not the same.
And the question of standing in that case was particularly BS, because the state, I forget what is, I think it was the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
And there's this entity, the separate entity that administers loans for the state. That entity very specifically was not a part of the lawsuit. They said explicitly they are not party to the lawsuit, but the Supreme Court decision just twist themselves into knots to make them the plaintiffs, to say that the reason that this is problematic is that that entity can no longer profit off of loans. I don't think that we should have student loan programs for government to profit, or for any entity to profit.
And that's
this is something
these
because
are
there's an inherent good.
kind of sanctioned monopolies too. By the way, these lenders. So I think Republicans have a bit of a wrong take on this, and I think that ignoring the student debt. Now, I'm not saying that the Biden solution is the solution I would choose. In fact, I wouldn't. I would do things around interest rates. I would do things around.
People pay for 40 years and then are oh, I've knocked $4,000 off my.
It has become ridiculous. And anyway, so Republicans at their own peril do not address the situation. And again, I don't like the Biden solution, but it's not even discussed on the Republican side, and that's going to bite us in the butt. But all right, there you go. Let's talk about getting bit in the butt.
Yeah.
Friend of the program, Representative Dan Wolgamott.
Should probably call Bradshaw Bryant.
Right. So, Dan, friend of the program, a story came out on Monday that he had been arrested on suspicion of DWI. That has not been, the charges have not been confirmed. Test results are still pending. And so, but kind of made all the papers. So I don't know how you, first of all, what I would say is like someone who's been in the news in a very big way. I think that there's a mistake that was made here. Obviously, you should not be driving. You should not be driving under the influence. It's dangerous. You put a lot of people in danger. I have never, and I will never do this. But also, my heart always kind of sinks a little because I think, but for the fact that you're in political office, this would be something that you could deal with on a personal level and get and taken care of, and so I always, I just want to be mindful of that, right? And by the way, like there's been multiple DWIs. It doesn't make it okay. No. There are other lawmakers that have DWIs. They are, in the end, people.
Amy, let's put our crisis communications hat here for a second.
Yeah.
And because the last year, Representative Tu Jiang was arrested.
I forgot about for Senator now. Senator. I think he was a rep.
Yeah. He was similarly arrested for DWI. Before it was public, he put out a statement apologizing.
Yes.
That is very different than Representative
There's been no comment.
No comment, and there were several days between the moment of the, and this is, I say this like I'm trying to speak, as you said, these are human beings with empathy, with everything else. For anyone else in the legislature,
yes,
I would strongly advise you to get ahead of a story because it looks much worse when what trickles out is whatever the police said happened, and you're not able to put to frame it in your way to apologize or anything like that, and then you're in the uncomfortable position of being asked for comment, right. and then your instinct is to say something like no comment, which makes you sound horribly guilty.
Yes.
I'm going to say this to comms people too, because I got a lot of advice about it'll blow over. No, you have to get, and I get that, like comms people, you want to think that, you want to hope that this is just going to blow over. But you have to prepare that it doesn't. And the fastest way to shut something down, people get it. Come forward and just say, hey, I screwed up.
Yeah.
I got stuff going on. I messed up. No, it didn't happen for me. I put out that statement right away.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cared at that point. It was, but I think I got points for just being honest, laying it out there, and being done.
Wolgamott was named Legislator of the Year by the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association.
Yes, he carried a lot of legislation for them. So
you would think they would maybe put out a statement like, "Hey, we don't like drinking and driving."
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's easy to kind of say, well, Brian and Amy work at the Capitol and they don't want to ruffle any feathers. But Dan Wolgamott legitimately is somebody that we work with a lot on behalf of our clients. And frankly, I worked very closely with Representative Matt Grossell as well on behalf of clients.
Right.
And
you go out drinking with them.
Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to, Davis. You're a lawyer, you know that.
No comment.
Great.
But
I'll draft a statement.
But the specific facts, and I'm not going to dwell into specifics, but the specific facts, which are in all the articles, both with Grossell and with Wolgamott, are indicative of a more serious problem than just getting liquored up and driving. Amy says that she's never done that. I can say that in my youth, I probably can't count how many times I did something stupid, and only through sheer luck and the grace of God did I not hurt myself or somebody else. It is certainly not something that I do now that I am more of an adult type person. But with these things, we have to remember that there are always political points to score, and they will be scored. But we are far enough away from the election that I think right now we have to just kind of hope that people are getting the help they need. We've all had friends too outside of politics who have suffered with different forms of addiction. So this is something that just makes me more than like politically excited. Like, oh, did you hear what happened to so and so? It more just makes me sad.
I don't care what side of the aisle. I
right.
get sad when I hear stories of any of this. I get pretty. It's a little bit of PTSD, I'm sure.
I would imagine.
But I have a lot more grace, which is not a bad thing either.
To your point, Javier, about like getting out in front of it, perhaps if he had gotten out in front of it, the strip also wouldn't have been like also 2 years ago. And then like they go digging for anything. It's like
That's the other thing is you like the story goes on as questions are not answered.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like,
People keep digging, which is
just
what
keep digging.
they should
keep
do.
asking
You
the
know.
question.
Well, because because the complaint came in because someone was drinking in a liquor store parking lot. Like,
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Hope,
So
hope
well
he,
we
deals what he needs to deal with.
Yep. So, and then there was another, in true Minnesota fashion, basically the Minnesota Department of Revenue said, we
Found a little error here.
Well, those bills were moving so
Yeah.
huge and so fast.
Well-
400
and
pages.
this is the problem. This is the problem with how they've been making laws.
And at any point in time, we've all been doing this a long time. There are lots of bills over lots of years under lots of administrations that, remember very famously, there's a string of Mark Dayton not having read certain bills. And, I just remember lighting him up for that because, I had worked under the Pawlenty administration, who Tim Pawlenty individually knew more about the bills that I was working on, working in a department that I did. But what we're doing now is we are putting these legislators, and they're doing it to themselves. I shouldn't say we. I should say they are putting themselves in impossible situations because this was a bill, specifically the tax bill, and I'm surprised we haven't heard anything about the HHS bill either.
Right.
Because where there was not transparency, this bill was not seen until 6 hours or whatever it was, half a day before they voted on it, and you are just going to have these problems. The HHS bill never really had a hearing.
Never, ever
But
even
this-
had a hearing.
the
And what
issue
happens
was
is
that-
when you get more eyes on it,
Yeah.
if you give a bill 24 hours, you know who's going to find stuff? Lobbyists are going to find
Yeah.
stuff. You can hate lobbyists, but we're actually there because we know sections of the bill far better than even research can. Research has got a 400-page. These staffers are tired.
Yeah.
They're going on 3 hours of sleep for
They're
for
wizards.
2 days.
How they do what they do,
I don't even know.
And so what the issue was is they had used the 2019 standard deductions,
Right. There's
not
a
the 2023
$352
standard
million
deductions.
error. $350 million error in the Minnesota tax bill. It's
I
not
thought
a
it was
small thing.
interesting that, and I'm sure it's because they were getting ahead of it. They were listening to, but that they came out and talked about this, basically, and we're saying, hey, we've got a fix, but we're going to tell you about this because we want to be transparent.
Well,
I was like,
they
well,
did this
good
as
job.
good crisis comms.
That was
This
good.
case is an
This is a
excellent
better
right,
example.
Right, Javier?
Getting ahead of it.
Here it is. They got ahead of it. Now they're still going to have to deal it. They're still going to have to fix. But this will be a easy fix.
Yeah,
They can
Paul
move in the
Marquardt said, like, normally it's pretty technical, but because of the amount, we thought, let's get out there. He must have followed a crisis comms.
He did. I don't know
Hey.
who he's got working for him, but
Hey,
excellent job.
You know who else I think had a $352 million accounting error?
Not me.
The Minnesota Republican Party.
Oh, well, I wish.
That's a
I wish that we would
$52.
find. I wish we could.
now
They have
This-
$53.
$53.
this might be an unpopular opinion,
What is?
but all I know is that this never would have happened if Tony Lazzaro was still around.
That's true. That dude
such
printed
an
money.
unpopular opinion.
It's not going to be popular,
have
but that doesn't make it
ingots.
untrue.
That's true.
Is it ingots?
He'd roll in there with a couple of gold coins.
Cougar
He had
ants.
Cougar ants. He had Deutschmarks. I don't even know what those are, but
He'd be like, here you go, Jennifer.
German bearer bonds. What was that in that?
Oh, and yes, he had
Bearer
those.
bonds?
He had those.
Bearer
weird-
bonds.
Bearer
He also
bonds?
had those weird metals. He had all kinds.
Yeah.
Gold bars,
Like
and
zinc?
Lingots. Is it lingots or ingots?
Ingots, I think.
Ingots.
We
Yes.
don't. We obviously don't deal in big dollar things.
Now,
$53 in the bank with $334,000 in debt, according to the FEC filing. That's the Minnesota.
Now, in their
Republican Party.
defense-
In their defense.
in their defense,
Yeah.
You're not doing well.
I think Bitcoin is about to make a
It's about to come back.
Were they Bitcoin bros and this has happened?
Would it shock you? It wouldn't. No, this is. I mean, here's the thing. Is there anything left to be embarrassed about? I don't know that there's anything left to be embarrassed about. But here's the thing: if they asked me for money, I would not give it to the state
Right.
party. I would give it to
That's
one
a
of the
good idea.
caucuses. I would give it to an individual legislator. So,
What is the message?
The article
caucus,
about this, the
endorsing
photo of
process?
Michelle Bachmann going.
Yeah,
on
okay,
this-
well, so why do they have her in there?
Because it's a national story,
Yeah.
and that's the only Minnesota Republican the national
can
people
name.
can think of.
It's,
Yeah,
first of all,
Tom
there's just
Emmer?
like,
How about Tom Emmer?
he's literally the third highest.
He probably
no one knows
asked
who
them
he
not.
is.
He probably asked them not to. He was like, "Could you take me out of that
That's
picture?"
I'm just saying that's like press bias right freaking there. Really, you're gonna have Michelle Bachmann, who's not been, and I don't even know if she lives in Minnesota anymore.
Well,
and she's certainly not a part of the Minnesota Party.
Well,
but
so,
I get
mean,
it.
In
You're trying to get clicks.
In fairness, the article, this is raw story. It's literally a clickbait
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Like
They do
they're based
talk
on
about
what-
Tom Emmer in here. He probably called them and was like, "I have a better picture of Michelle Bachmann."
I mean, the problem is right. They're not getting people donating. The caucus, the endorsing process in Minnesota is like decidedly broken. And this comes from someone who I used to very much support the endorsement process, and it has just become a joke. It's not even, as much as I don't care for the current chair, David Hann, I can't even lay this all at his feet. This has been years and years and years and years of dysfunction. And it's just $53.
Now, this might be an unpopular
53.
opinion.
and 81 cents.
It's
81 cents.
I mean, who do you think had to fill like the poor person who was typing out that form?
Are we missing a zero or?
It's like, submit. Enter.
Could someone give us? Can we add a little bit here? Because everybody got.
Oh
You guys-
my god.
So is someone going to like burn it down and start a new party? What are you guys going to do? It just seems like the brand is a little damaged.
No comment.
It's not a good strategy.
It might be damaged, but there you go, $53.81.
And 81 cents.
And 81 cents to be precise.
Who's the current chair of the party?
David.
David Hann.
Oh.
Not, as I said, I'm not a fan, but I can't even. I'd love to say this is all his fault, and it probably is, but it's not.
Well, it's not all his fault.
Not all his fault, but definitely ongoing. Like
At least
again,
$53.
Look at our endorsement process. It's a joke.
It's a joke, but one of the main jobs that David Hann and his predecessors have is to inspire confidence. Not to say that things haven't gone wrong in the past, but that things are going to go better in the future. And obviously, that case is not being made effectively.
If you were to draw the MnGOP like on a line on a graph, we would have a really slow, long slide here for many years. But anyway.
My idiot kids have more money than the Minnesota GOP party.
I know. I was like, oh
Can
man.
they spare a few dollars? Because I think we have to pass a hat.
I shouldn't call them idiot kids. They're absolutely not. But my children have more money than the Republican Party of Minnesota.
$53.
Yeah.
Well, we could get them $50 back in the refund program. if
Yeah,
they could-
really.
We were
Yeah.
saying- so Minneapolis.
But this is, I think, their federal. This is their federal account, so we can't give $50. I don't want to. I don't want to give to the state party
Don't
for the
set
state of
any
Minnesota. I don't want to set any unreal expectations. Then you
Minneapolis-
want your $50 back.
So
We don't have it.
So we were saying last week or the week before that when Minneapolis decided not to do fireworks because they had a $4,000 budget. Like
They said it would leave a $4,000 to $10,000 hole in the budget.
There were some fireworks lit off.
They literally could have passed the hat in City Hall, and I feel like we need a similar thing with Republicans. You need to pass the hat to get a little more than $53.
Aye.
I went to a wonderful fireworks extravaganza in Wisconsin.
In Minneapolis, all over the streets, because that happened.
It was in Wisconsin, and they just passed a little bucket. They had the teens from the local high school passing a bucket, and they paid for their fireworks just
just
out of pocket.
It's out of pocket right there. You like what you're seeing? Here's the bucket.
They didn't launch those fireworks at the police?
No, they
Or
did
at
not.
people walking
Well,
around
they
the
sort of launched them a little bit at the crowd, but like not on purpose.
After they pass the bucket, though. Don't do that before you pass the bucket.
Can I just say? So I went to Minneapolis on Sunday for a lovely book talk at All Nations Church, but on my way there, holy shit, Minneapolis! Like if you're listening to this, you guys, the entire metro area does not they're like we're one economy, and in St. Paul and in our suburbs, we don't see the kind of dire poverty and drug transactions and homeless camps and encampments and all this. Like, your city is a freaking mess.
It is.
And this
Big
can
mess.
be done humanely. This can be done like this. The city of St. Paul has an entire like it's not perfect, but we don't have encampments because the deputy mayor makes it her freaking job.
Do you think? Do you think that Melvin
have a
would
deputy
annex
mayor?
us? Do you think that he would?
Well, I'm working on an invasion.
Yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Look,
just like
St. Paul downtown is pretty wrecked. Go down there. There's nobody down there.
I'm like I said, it's not.
Nobody
it's not
would
perfect,
be
it's not
better.
perfect, but it's, no, but yeah, but it's but it's specific to like the question of homeless and encampments, right? Because there are ways of dealing with this humanely, finding people housing, which is but like it would look like a war zone. I felt like I was in a post-apocalyptic.
Does Melvin need munitions? Because we have them in Minneapolis.
Now, Javier, many, and this is not trying to be snarky, though it's coming that way. War zone was used to describe the 4th of July in Minneapolis, and many DFL electeds were specifically objecting to the term war zone. So it's that's not preferred language.
Well, I suggest that
Gotta watch out for
they take a stroll.
The truth might hurt, but it doesn't stop being the truth. I agree
around
with
Cedar. Well, and that we're just talking about a specific context of like that situation. I'm talking about like that. It literally looks like a post-apocalyptic scene. It was just like it looked almost like zombies, like people just walking around. There was like I saw a drug deal happening. It was just like and buildings shuttered, and I'm like, my God, you guys.
You know where you don't see
Shit
that
together.
stuff?
St. Paul.
Burnsville.
Lakeville.
No, Burnsville. Not that great.
Burnsville.
No.
Shuttered. And, no, sorry, Burnsville.
London. London's, it's a pretty big city. It's like what?
true.
This one's about to emigrate.
I know he
9
is.
million people, and no one's standing around. Everyone's going somewhere. They're not.
USA.
They're not
USA.
They're not breaking
No one's
stuff.
standing
No,
around.
everyone's going somewhere. And in Scotland, which is beautiful, except for Glasgow. Glasgow has a Milwaukee feel to it. Glasgow
It's rough there.
was not very nice, and there were drug users and hooligans shouting things in Glasgow. But everywhere else, they also have a 45% income tax for anyone who makes over 150,000 pounds. So you can buy a lot of nice stuff with everybody's money.
I'm proud of my country and my flag, so let's move on to.
I think Brian just said he wants to be taxed more.
No,
I did.
I'm saying that's where all the nice stuff comes from. And as long as you are fine with the government deciding what to do with your money, I guess go there. Or not.
No, there you go.
America.
All right, who's got plugs?
I got nothing.
Oh,
I got well, I know that's not true. I have a show in the Minnesota Fringe that's at the end of the month. Not the end of the month, the beginning of next month. I will promote it more next week when my website is up because it isn't. I'm
so
not
excited! So you're going to be in. You're going to be French, so we can go see.
I'm going to be, and I have a Fringe show that I'm writing. It's storytelling. It's going to be just storytelling. It's very bare bones because it's a concept that I'm working on, and it may become something more later. But it's called Patología, which translates as pathology, but is also a play on words because the word pato in Puerto Rico means faggot. And I can say that. You better not.
Don't even think it. Stop thinking it.
That took a turn. I had one.
Yes.
So next week on the 18th, and this is something that's not open to the public. I actually think it would be cool if people could come see it. But I'm very, very, very honored. The Humphrey Center over at the University of Minnesota has asked me and former Senate Minority Leader Melissa Franzen to give a TED Talk style.
Yeah,
Amy.
I'm aware.
I know.
I'm aware. When
Amy.
I got the invite, I was like,
They have a new bipartisan couple. What the hell? You're not even friends with Melissa Franzen.
That's not true.
Not like Amy and I are friends.
No.
We do.
True.
We
you
do.
hot tub together?
They were like, do it
you
again.
and Melissa
but
hot tub together?
But we still want one Latino.
I know. We still need a Puerto Rican.
They said we want a different Puerto Rican. But anyway,
Get another Puerto Rican.
Believe
that's
me.
something that's happening next
Wow.
weekend. Unfortunately, people can't come. It is something I'm proud to be asked, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
It's closed to the public?
I
mean,
think it's like
It's
I think it's like
first.
a,
This is making more sense now.
only.
it's like an event.
An event.
You guys would be
Also,
the face. Okay.
Brian and I
Exactly.
catch us on the podcast, BS podcast every Tuesday and on radio stations around the state. I actually had someone from Buffalo text me and said, "Heard you on the Bob Sansevier show this morning, Amy." So there you go. Hey, Kelly Boyle. Thanks for listening. Okay, let's do Spanks and Thanks. Who wants to go?
I can go.
Okay.
So I swear, sometimes like I feel like I wonder if in criminal justice programs there's a special class on that teaches police officers to just lie about everything, so that when they caught in big lies, there's like, well, that's just what happens. Police officers just lie. So this week, I think I've talked about this case before because Deanna Winter, the amazing reporter from The Reformer, has been following the story about an officer in Minneapolis Police Department named Timberlake. I assume not related to Justin,
I'm bringing Fibbin back.
who was hired despite having been fired from a department he previously worked at for doing a horrible chokehold similar to the chokehold that killed George Floyd, and he did this in the aftermath of the George Floyd murder, and he was hired anyway. And at first, Chief O'Hara in Minneapolis said, like, this is appalling, I'm going to investigate this, whatever. So it turns out then, she did some more digging that the offer letter came with his signature. And this last week we learned through the police union that he was actually super involved. And now he says that the thing he didn't realize he knew, that when he said he didn't know, what he meant was that he didn't know that there was video of the horrible thing the guy had done. Now, mind you, as our friend Davis has said many times, and has even offered their services to the city of Minneapolis, you need to hire a chief Googler.
I am happy to be their Googler.
Yeah. Because this was not a secret that there was a video. It's the first thing that pops up when you Google the dude's name. So the police chief, who by all accounts is a reformer and is doing his best to change the culture of that department, but has a real political problem for himself because he freaking lied again. Amy, crisis communications 101.
Yep.
So I'm just
come out.
First
Free
rule
advice.
of holes.
Free
Stop
advice to the
digging.
city of Minneapolis. I'm going to humbly suggest, IMHO, that you develop a policy to say, so when we discover we do something bad, let's not lie about it. Because if it is find outable, it will be found out, and it's just pathetic and horrible, and everyone freaking lied about it, and just let me say for a second, obviously, that the police union, because he is a reformer, is using this to their advantage, and so they're throwing him under the bus. But you know what, Chief O'Hara, don't give them that opportunity.
Yes.
Don't give them that opportunity. Those guys are authoritarians and horrible people, and they will take every opportunity to undermine you, and so don't give them that. So don't freaking lie. My think is for Republican Florida Republican Representative Fabian Basabe. He is a Republican lawmaker who was hired as sort of a more kind of sort of supposedly moderate Republican, but then he supported Don't Say Gay and all this. So this last week, two staffers for Florida Representative Fabian Basabe filed a lawsuit Thursday detailing allegations of sexual harassment and unwanted touching. These are two male staffers, once again proving that when it comes to Republicans and accusations of sexual impropriety, or especially on gay stuff, like if every accusation is actually a confession. Yep, he's of course saying it's the press and all this, but there's two people with pretty detailed allegations. So.
Quelle surprise.
Quelle surprise. Yes. Yeah. All of you people obsessed with gay people, just get to your own damn lives, or just come out of the closet.
Agreed.
You spanked.
And donate to
Oh,
the Minnesota
actually,
GOP party.
Actually, no, I was thanking him for proving my point. But
Gives you
but you're also
$100,
saying-
$50. Honestly, $10. Anything you can do to support.
Just
it's like a
pass the
telephone.
damn hat.
For the price of a cup of coffee, you too can support a Republican legislator.
We only have $334,000 left to pay. Well, 333,000.
Remember you.
All right, who's next? 900 and
Okay, I can go. I have 2 spanks. No thanks. So my first spank is for Tommy Tuberville, who has single-handedly decided the Marines will not have a leader, and the U.S. military will grind to a halt at a time when there's just,
A few things going on.
fascism knocking on the door in Europe, because he's upset about social issues. And I just want to say, Tommy Tuberville did not ever serve, and he's so stupid. He once spoke about how his grandfather, or his father, somebody that wasn't him, served in World War II, liberating Paris from socialism. I was like, no, dipshit. That's not what they did in World War II. So my first bank is for Tommy Tuberville. Get over yourself. Let's take care of the military.
Also, he went on TV to defend himself, and
Yes.
then what?
Couldn't-
The reporters, he were talking about white nationalism, and the reporter said white nationalists are racist. He said that's your opinion.
No, that's your opinion.
He's now come out with a statement saying white nationalists are racist.
Now he has crisis communications. Who is like, you know what?
you know what you're going to
I
do?
thought we went over this.
It's actually a synonym.
So that's my first spank. My second spank is at the audacity level of Minneapolis leaders who last year told us how absolutely terrible the city would be if we tried to reform the police department into a public safety department. And now, thanks to the $400,000 of private money that they got, and 3 years, they got this little booklet here that has no plans. That was one of the complaints we heard from them. There's no plan. What's the plan? This booklet has no plans, no budget, no nothing. But the mayor, the city council president Andrea Jenkins, and the community safety commissioner Cedric Alexander all said they hailed the report and said they're going to adopt the bulk of it, made by a third party who does not live here. So just the audacity level. It never ceases to amaze.
And and Harvard is recommending what?
That they change the police department to a public safety department.
Wait a minute.
That they
But I feel like we kind of voted on that.
that they send unarmed officers when they don't need.
Wait a minute.
Listen, sounds familiar.
That sounds weirdly familiar.
Yeah. So
God.
also it was basically a plan to make a plan. It was like, here's what you should do.
You ready?
Yep. All right. So my spank is going to be to Ben and Jerry. Ben and Jerry, who love to act like they're just everyone's liberal buddies and all this good stuff, even though they're a big, huge company that's been bought by even a bigger, huger company. On the 4th of July and on Canada Day, they send out tweets essentially saying, hey, just remember, we want to remind everyone that you're on stolen land. And I think that is something that we are definitely aware of. But what happened was the indigenous people who have links to the land that Ben and Jerry have their corporate headquarters on in both Vermont and in Canada said, oh, okay, well, why don't you give us the land that your place is on? And then they kind of got dead silence. And I think that is an amazing thing because we hear all the time, all these people are doing land declarations and all this stuff, and that's fine. You cannot deny the atrocities that the American government and the Canadian government have perpetrated upon the indigenous people of this country. You cannot deny that. However, I don't see anyone giving their houses back. I don't see anyone giving their land back. So before you're shitting on everyone else, why don't you show some political courage and actually give your land back if that is something that you think is so damn important.
Can I add something to that? I have a friend,
Sure.
a native friend who
You do?
I have many native friends, but one in particular that you may know, who and I was,
Does not like the land declaration.
land acknowledgements,
Agree,
land acknowledgements, because
Think
they're
false.
basically
They
saying like if you start an event by making a land acknowledgement saying this land is stolen and you're not giving it back, you're just being an asshole.
Yep.
very
Yep.
fair.
No, I have also heard that from some of my friends,
Yeah.
indigenous friends. They're
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing?
It's just salt in the freaking wound.
Yep, white people virtue signal.
Sorry, I got your land.
Yeah. Hey, I punched you in the face. Oops. Too bad. I'll
I
do it
just want to
again.
acknowledge it.
Just want to acknowledge it.
I don't like you, Brian, and I just want to acknowledge it.
You guys remember when I slapped Amy?
Now we're good. Now we're good. Yeah, no, same.
was good.
All right.
My thank, talking about political courage, my thank is going to be to Georgia State Senator Misha Maynor, and I might be saying her name incorrectly, and I apologize. She is a Democrat from Senate District 56, which is in the Atlanta area, and she was elected as a Democrat in a very heavily African-American Democrat district, and she recently put her money where her mouth is. She was someone who fought against defunding the police and was not someone who was just falling in line with a lot of the Democrat talking points in her area, did not feel as though they were in the best interests of her constituents, and she switched parties. She went from Democrat to Republican, and like I said, her area is very heavily Democrat, so she's probably doing this at the peril of losing her seat, but she is showing political courage, and I don't know her. She might not be a good legislator, might be a great legislator, I don't know, but I think that if you are going to complain, you either have two options. You can either work from the inside of your party to change it, or you can leave. And she made a decision. She has left, so she is now going to be a Republican, and hopefully it will be to the benefit of her constituents. So she is thanked.
All right. And mine, I have a very MnDOT centric spank and thank. I know everybody's been waiting for this one. This is hot, hot, hot. The Minnesota Department of Transportation. I'm both thanking and spanking. And kind of both of them are thanks for them. So there was recently a crash in Coon Rapids. Oh, okay. We'll start with this one. So here's the sign for Ogilvie,
Sorry about
Minnesota.
that.
Where MnDOT put out a sign for poor Ogilvie, new signs up that spelled it Oglivie, Oglivie. And this would have been a total spank because how do you mess this up? I mean, someone has spell check on
Wasn't there one there before?
this.
Like you could
All you had to do was just go, oops, this is wrong. This is wrong. Somebody went and put it up, didn't notice Oglivie.
Ask ChatGPT.
The MnDOT did, however, they get a little points because they did apologize and they said, sorry about that. Spelling SPELING is hard. So I guess they get a thank for that
Yeah.
one. And then also they did put out a report about there was a Coon Rapids crash, and MnDOT really went out in the news and talked about one of our favorite issues here in Minnesota, which is the zipper merge. So I don't know. I don't think I'm spanking MnDOT because they keep trying.
They are trying.
I'm spanking Minnesotans because why can
freaking
we
idiots.
not
Tries to-
zipper merge?
Do you know why they can't? It's because they're so passive aggressive and they let out all their aggression behind the wheel. So they're like, no, you can't get in here.
This is so, folks. Here's what happens,
And
this
then they
caused
pretend
a
it's
crash.
polite. Then
So
they-
there's
when you fight
you
with them, they
see a
pretend.
lane closed ahead, do you immediately switch over to
No.
the right lane?
No.
No, you don't.
You wait.
You want to use the road as much road as possible for as long as you can.
As a
so what
zipper
you're
track.
supposed to do, folks, is both stay in the lane. Whatever. If you're in the left lane, stay in the left lane. If they're closing the left lane, you stay there until it gets to the end, and then
Then you
everybody
merge.
one.
Yeah.
And
it's faster.
And it's faster.
You take
it uses
turns.
more road. You take turns. If the right lane is closing, you stay in the right lane if you're in there, and you just zipper merge in. What happens is, and this is true, if you do it properly in the state of Minnesota, people get furious and they will not allow you in. And that doesn't work, everybody. You're all standing in line. You're all backing up and
They're
then
like, you
there
should have
are
got
more
over 17
opportunities
miles
for
back there.
crashes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I got in line 17 miles back. No, because you're a dummy. because you're a dummy who doesn't know how to drive. And so I'm thanking MnDOT for putting this out again. It absolutely caused crashes. It caused a crash in Coon Rapids. They have it on video. They can show what happened. Obviously, there was some road rage included in this because people don't understand what it is. And it's funny because they put out this tweet, and then there's literally a reply here from Kevin Redbeard878 on Twitter who says, disagree.
Oh, Kevin, shut up.
Disagree.
Kevin, shut up.
The proper thing is to move over as soon as you see the lane close.
Oh my God.
Not race. Here's what he says. Not race to cut in front of the line.
You're
you
not
wouldn't
cutting-
cut in the grocery line. Don't cut in the road. You're not cutting in line,
Also,
Kevin.
Kevin, why do you think you know more than the literal department in charge of
MnDOT
transportation?
stands for the Minnesota Department of Transportation. They have engineers.
They make
that work
the
on this
rules,
all day
Kevin.
long.
So even if you think that's how it
They
should
work
be.
with other states. They go,
Yeah.
hey, what's working over there? They're like, hey, you know, have you heard of this
A
zipper
zipper
merge?
merge.
Oh, no, our people won't zipper merge. Our people,
They think
we
it's
won't.
cutting.
They won't. They think it's cutting.
MnDOT
You're
should
going to
just-
cut at the grocery line. You're not going to cut on the road.
Well, maybe
Kevin.
Kevin's from Ogilvy.
Ogilvy, and he's got residual anger about that.
MnDOT should respond. Kevin, don't start.
Don't
start.
Kevin, we have talked about this.
It's like I am on board for all the Minnesota quirks. I'm on board for the gray duck, for all the things, but not this.
No.
Not this, you freaks.
It's so, and to tell you what,
And
if you
it's
don't
so
get over,
particular.
like, it is so particular. It's just wild. And if you don't, it's like try to get off of 394 onto 94. You got to be backed up to, to the two exits back, or you don't get in because how dare you skip the line?
Do you have
All
an
right.
upset stomach?
Why?
You have a weird look on your face.
Well, because I grew
Are
up
you
in
gassy?
I grew up in America, so it's duck, duck, goose.
All right, he's gassy.
Wow.
Don't at.
Are you
He is-
do you
he
have
is
gas?
gassy.
I
He's
kinda do.
Is
gassy.
it-
Let's get out of here.
All right,
let's get out of here.
Let's get going. So, with that, I am going to be zipper merging despite my Minnesota people. Amy Koch.
In the words of the Scots, Slantravar. Brian McDaniel.
If I didn't say that right.
I did. I even looked it up.
I am Democratic strategist on the Puerto Rican Heat. Javier Murillo.
And I'm small business attorney Davis Sensman.
And we are
Wrong about everything except zipper merching. Kevin.
It's amazing. It's the second tweet on there.
Of course.
Oh, disagree.
hard
The proper
disagree.
thing to do is move over as soon as possible.
Shut up, Kevin. Shut up.
No, not race to cut